Give me 1 second. Why I can't see it on my end? Okay. I can't see it on my end. All right. I'll be back in just a minute. I'm gonna play a song. Let's see who I want to play. I'll play Oluwase Black Coffee song. We'll be right back.
Straight to the paper, snatching makers, man, I'm all in. With precision like lasers, my aims to annihilate my targets. Regardless of what you call it, it's nothing less than greatness. And how I define what great is, you can't fake this. My statements, if fall on deaf ears, those with wisdom embrace it. This marathon I'm racing consists of passion, persistence, and dedication. I'm faithful amongst my peers, cause I appear with proper preparation. Be getting my shit together, my people need reparations. My whip need tent and leather, my tribe's been worldwide through every American ghetto. What the pot called the ghetto for lessons of places I can't settle. Descendant of West Africans, here to let it be known I ain't having it. 5,000 handy Honda slaps to the establishment. Got them hoes scared, still look like the Million Man mannequin challenge. Black coffee, no sugar, no cream. No sugar, no cream. Black coffee, no sugar, no cream. No sugar, no cream. Black coffee, no sugar, no cream. No sugar, no cream. Black coffee, no sugar, no cream. No sugar, no cream. Check my balance, I'm Iron Mike, you Cicely Tyson. The Lord is pure as enticing. Crazy how niggas that hate me wanna be just like me. The mind's awakening and it's the perfect timing to shine bright ideas. Tired of working 9 to 5s, you gotta grind where I live. Through the rain, sleet, snow, cheap and heavy on that dro. AC blowing snow, audio intellectual. Whoa, them niggas iffy, huh? Claim he had the blicky, huh? They got to telling you ain't gangster, just a drippy cunt. Stop letting the media mow your views of black culture. Cut off all supply to those ravenous vultures. High voltage and high power. They say you either have it or you don't, and I got this. The life wood lock slippery, we were roll wizardry. Wizard dry pussy in hell on all my enemies and all pretender bees. Claiming they ain't feeling me. Old nigga, the blood, no loss in my genetics. Fibonacci spirals with the smoke, excellent methods. Excel beyond all limits. Frustrated deep exhale on y'all niggas. Future double XL freshman. Although in my realm I'm a veteran. Seems some of y'all haven't got the message. I'm divine by design, nigga. This was destined. Black coffee, no sugar, no cream. No sugar, no cream. Black coffee, no sugar, no cream. No sugar, no cream, nigga. Black coffee, no sugar, no cream. No sugar, no cream. Black coffee, no sugar, no cream. No sugar, no cream. The black messiah and fly attire has a fly fire, the signal beware that a boom sit you. Flat rap casted half-ass the rap stat. Y'all be cheering on, I act an actual acrobat. I be flipping flows like tumbling on tile. Y'all some motherfucking lab rats, trapped in the maze in amazement at what this flavor could bring. It's that black coffee, no sugar, no cream, motherfucker.
All right, peace. That was my good brother Oluwase song Black Coffee. If you don't have his Ashe 2 album, please go out and get that album and support that brother. It's on all streaming platforms. First, I want to say ETM Hotep, Dua U, Dua Ku, Dua Necha, Fatmu Alafiye, Fatmu Riwi, Fatmu Iwa Pele, Majuba Ibi Egungun, Majuba Ibi Egungun, Majuba Ibi Alakba, Majuba Ibi Alakba, Egungun, Kiki Egungun. I always want to give honor and praises to the ancestors, because without the ancestors, we wouldn't be here. We are our ancestors. I also would like to extend honor and praises to the true and living elders, according to an African perspective and from an African worldview. Again, I had to keep stressing this over here. Just because you are older than me does not make you my elder. If you don't meet the standards and the criteria of what an elder is according to an African world view, then you are my older and not my elder. I know I jumped on here 10 minutes early. I have another engagement that I have to be at 7 o'clock, so I jumped on here 15, maybe 10, 15 minutes early. Show supposed to start at 5:30. Y'all please like the show. Shout out to any Red Sean Cal Funny, AK 47, brother Robert Rand, sister Julia, whoever else that may be in here.
I'll be back in just a minute. I'm
my bad. Had the thing on. And then everybody else that may be looking, peace to everybody that may be looking at this later on in the R. Guys, I'm not gonna hold y'all up too much. I want to jump into this. This is actually a continuation. This show was actually inspired. If you didn't look at the video that I did yesterday, I did a interview on our Warrior Scholar show. We interviewed Professor Valencia Hawkins Moore. She's a well-traveled teacher. She has so many different accolades. She's been to several countries in Africa. She also taught in Africa. She's also teaching in Houston right now. And a few articles that I read of the sister, she had some published articles out. So a few articles that I read of the sister actually sparked this presentation. So I told her before we did the interview, it was some things that about the Black Greek, the Black Greek Letters organization that I was confused with. So I kind of, from that article, I kind of wrote, I kind of did a presentation. Right after I got through, I did a presentation. So I told her I was going to do a presentation. I asked her a question, why they still considering themselves Greeks. And I'm going to give you my hypothesis and my conclusion at the end, but I'm going to lay out my evidence so you can understand when I come to my conclusion, why I came to my conclusion. And me coming to my conclusion, I could be wrong when I'm coming to my conclusion. But from me observing things and me laying out information, I'm just going to lay out the information. After I lay out the information, at the end, like I said, I give my hypothesis / conclusion, so you'll kind of understand why I said what I said in my conclusion. Real quick, let me go over here. Shout out to Coach. One time I seen him here. Shout out to Chauncey Moore, who just popped in the building. Y'all please like and share the show. Please like and share the show. It's gonna be a pretty informative show, full of information. Maybe something to talk about. I mean, this conversation, Professor Valencia has been going on. So I'm just going to continue on with the conversation and give, like I said, this is coming from me. This is my own opinion. This is my hypothesis and conclusion because of the evidence that I have seen. So this is what I think. No one else. This is what Kofi Piesie thinks. But hold on, before I do that, I'm not going to go through everything like I did because I'm pressing for time. But I had to do this, though. If you ain't got Beautiful Lessons About Kimoyo, our book, please go to Sateillte Different Branch Publishing and get that book, Beautiful Lessons About Kimoyo. Appreciate everybody that has supported the book. Appreciate those who read the book and have gave me some great feedback, So even if any feedback is good feedback, I hadn't got any negative feedback, all positive, all great feedback. But if you read it and you got some negative feedback, I'm here for it, Go get our Volume 4, Spearmaster Historical Survey in the Minds of African Warrior Scholars, Volume 4. Go get that publication. If you don't have that publication, it's also available on Sateillte Different Branch Publishing. Also, if you don't have What SARS-CoV taught you by our brother Red Sean Calfunny, who is also a member of the Mossy Warrior Clan as well as Kofi Piesie research team, go get that copy. This book is well needed right now because we are in a pandemic. Also, from the Spearmaster's Historical Survey in the Minds of African Warrior Scholars, Volume 1, which that book was inspired by the Dinka people of the South Sudan. We also created an institution because we want to do something for kids, the Spearmaster's Institution, which is a institution for children and teenagers, what children in general. So we have one section of the institution that is dedicated to 6 through 13. Then we have another section of the Spearmaster Institution is dedicated from 16 to 21. So this here is from the 16 to 13. This is the Spearmaster Institution coloring book, which is out now on Sateillte Different Branch Publishing. As your children color and have fun, they also can learn Cujo Albina and Chiki are the characters in the books that will be teaching them about the things that they are actually learning. Also, if you don't have religious belief revisited by, the Tep edition, please go get that copy. It is available now. Chavis has his copy. He is also a member of Kofi Piesie research team, is also presented by Kofi Piesie research team. So get that publication. Those who pre-order the books, we got the books. Those books will be shipped out to y'all tomorrow. Appreciate the support. Those who also interested in getting the book, go get the book. I already read the book. It's a great publication. Also on it, dang, I keep doing this. Hold on, y'all. I keep clicking this thing over. Also, January the 21st, which is this Friday, Spear Masters. This is the second part of the Spear Masters Institution. This is the comprehension book. So we got the coloring book. Now we got the comprehension book, which is ranges from the ages of 13 to 21. It's a comprehension book. It's not only by the surrounding team, but those people that actually support us and aspiring authors. We reached out to them. So it's a collective of the teams as well as those who support Kofi Piesie research team and Moxie Warrior Clan. Those who also contributed to it, y'all will get a copy. Y'all don't have to pay for the copy, but y'all do have to pay for the shipping. I have y'all books. Those who contributed to the books, I appreciate you. We appreciate you. Also appreciate those who supported the new Independent African Academy. This is a community over here, a safe place over here where you won't have to worry about a whole lot of chaos and confusion over here. So appreciate that. Also, if you don't have the shirts, go get the new Independent African Academy t-shirts. We have an apparel company. So go to www.familyconnectapparel.com or go to Google, type in Mboka, and it'll pop up Mboka /Family Connect Apparel. Pop up on there. If you support and you rocking with us, go get that. Also get the hoodies. It's cold outside. Go get the new Independent African Academy t-shirts. Not t-shirts, but hoodies. We got the pants that actually go with it with the new Independent on the legging. So get that on. Go support. We got a variety of things on the apparel, online apparel store, man. So appreciate y'all support. I'm not going to read the codes, conducts, and mandates today. Y'all should already have those by now. I'm pressing for time. But we're going to get started right now. Again, please like and share the show. Please like and share the show. Peace to Kadeem Wright. I see he just jumped in. So peace. I think I done spoke to everybody in here, man. So let's get into it, man. So let me share my screen real quick. And if y'all have anybody that think that may be interested in this presentation, those who may be a part of the fraternities, or those who may be part of the sororities, you know what I'm saying? Hit them, send them, shoot them the link, you know what I'm saying? And if anybody that y'all think that may be appreciative of this information, like I say, share it, share it with them. That's what I say, man. Don't share it. Don't waste your time and share it with somebody that ain't gonna even click the link and look at it. But okay, here it is. This is my presentation. It is called HBCU / Black Greek Organizations in Africa. Why are they still calling themselves Greeks? So we're gonna like I say, I have no problems with HBCUs. I have no problem with the Black Greek organization. I have a lot of friends who are part of those organizations. At one time, I almost pledged to be a Q-Dog back in the day when I went to USM. And I have worked closely with a lot of these organizations. I am also a member. I'm not active. I haven't been active in 4 years, maybe 4.5 years, but I was active for 13 or 14 years, consistent. I hail from Hattiesburg Lodge number 165. I also was a member of the Order of Eastern Star, where I served the patron there. And we did a lot of stuff in the community. Our lodge, our chapter did a lot of stuff in the community. And a lot of these organizations were side by side with us when we was in the community, trying to affect change, trying to aid and assist certain communities, right? So again, I don't have a problem with HBCUs. I don't have a problem with Black Greek organizations, but I do have a problem with them calling themselves Greeks. They still today calling themselves Greeks, and I was trying to understand why. I may have a clue why. I'm gonna lay y'all evidence out. I'm gonna lay my evidence out why I believe that they do not why they won't change their name and start associating themselves with Africans, but they're going to continue to call themselves Greeks. And I'm gonna show you why. This is, like I said, this is my opinion. Again, this is a disclaimer. I'm not a teacher, but merely a student who is sharing information. That information is provided for, and that information is provided for educational purpose only. If you are in doubt, do the research and have it verified by someone qualified. I reserve the rights to change or focus this presentation, to shut down, sell, or exchange the terms are used by my own discretion. Our trademark, design rights, copyrights, registered names, mottos, logos, avatars, or signals and marks used or cited by this website or the property of their respective owners. I reserve the right to add information as it comes available, or adapt changes, improve information as it comes available in the future. Inputs wanted, changes, additions, or additions, deletions are encouraged. So there go my disclaimer. I have no problem with changing my information. I have no problem with saying I'm wrong. I have no problem with anybody critiquing me at all. I understand that comes with the game. That comes with the program when you're putting information in public, whether it's in presentation form, where it's in article form, or whether it's in a textbook, or whatever. You are putting it for people to scrutinize your information. So I have no problem with that. A thing sideways. But as I learn, we all learn. Y'all know that is that is the motto over here. As I learn, we all learn. Also be on the lookout for As I Learn, We All Learn podcast. I have 6 episodes late March. And after those 6 episodes, there will be an episode every week. It will be on all streaming platforms, Amazon Music, Spotify, Apple Music, tons of other places, but be on the lookout for that. But I also have a YouTube channel that I want y'all to subscribe to. So if you want to look at the visual, you can go to the YouTube channel. If you want to be riding in your car and you pay for Apple Music, just click on the link and check us out. Let's get this culture. Yes, indeed. All right, these are my sources. I got my sources up here. I'll show my sources at the end, but these are the sources. It was another source I added, but I got the sources up under each slide as well. So one of those sources I went back and I added, which was a source of Liberia. We'll get into why I added a source about Liberia. This is my outline right here. My outline is the origin of HBCUs, the historical Black college and university that someone may not know. Some people may not know the origins of the historical Black colleges and universities. They may know the information after what I present, but they might not know the origin in the beginning of these historical Black colleges. A lot of people believe that historical Black colleges were founded by Black people because it says Black colleges and universities. That's incorrect. We're gonna talk about that. A list of historical Black colleges and universities. So we're gonna list. I'm gonna have a list of those. You know what colleges, Black HBCUs, that these colleges origin from. And the year, what happened after slavery was officially over. We're going to talk about what is the ABHMS. Everybody should be familiar now with American Baptist Home Mission Society, and what did they do with the HBC historical Black colleges, and what do they have to do with the historical Black colleges? NPHC, the National Pan-Hellenic Council. Morgan State University Project, first HBCU satellite campus in Ghana. The other one is ETA Beta Omega chapter, Liberia, 1957. Who is Anna E. Cooper? The year of return, Ghana / Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity. Why Greek instead of African, and my hypotheses / conclusion. All right. Here is historical Black HBCUs, historical Black colleges and universities. Historical Black colleges, universities, Black colleges and universities were established to serve the educational needs of Black Americans prior to the time of their establishment, and for many years afterwards, Blacks were generally denied admission to traditional whites institutions. As a result, HBCUs became the principal means of providing post-secondary education for Black history. We know coming out of slavery, 1861, officially in 1865, we know a lot of our people coming out of slavery. Those free people was very illiterate. There was no heavy influence during the late 19th century of Black people being in college or having a high education. But we'll talk about that in a minute. Historical Black colleges and universities and institutions of higher education in the United States that were established before the Civil Rights Acts of 1964 with the intention of primarily servicing the African American community. Most of these institutions were found in the years after the American Civil War and concentrated in the South United States. During the period of segregation in the United States prior to the Civil Rights Acts, the great majority of institutions of higher education serves education serves primarily white students and disqualified or limited Black American enrollment. For centuries after the end of the slavery in the United States in 1865, most colleges and universities in the southern United States prohibited all African Americans from attending, while institutions of other parts of the country regularly impose quotas to limit admission of Black people. HBCUs were established to provide opportunities to African Americans and large responsibilities for establishing the expanding African American middle class. All right, these are a list of the Black colleges and universities. It's a ton of them. I'm just gonna glance. I'm not gonna go through all of them, but you got Spelman College, Atlanta, Georgia, Morehouse College, Atlanta, Georgia. You also got Clark Atlanta, was also from Atlanta, Georgia. It's way at the bottom, but these ones in Atlanta is key when you talk about Spelman and you talk about Morehouse and some of those that are in Virginia. But those two at the top is very, very predominant for people that may know the true origins of how or the origins of the HBCUs and how their development came about. But you got Howard University, Washington, D.C., Xavier University of Louisiana, New York, which is in New Orleans, Hampton University, Tuskegee University, Tuskegee, Alabama, Florida, A&M University, Tallahassee, Florida, North Carolina. I'm not going to read out of them. I just keep it paused right here so y'all can see exactly. It's so many of them. I think I only listed about 25. These are the rest of them to, Jackson State, which is close to me, Jackson State University, which is close to me, which is starting to get a lot of traction because Deion Sanders being the coach there, and he did a phenomenal job for the university, HBC, last year. I'm also close to Alcorn State University as well. A lot of people may be familiar with what was the famous quarterback who played for the Titans. I actually seen him play my whole high school year at Alcorn. Dang, his name is escaping me at this time. Prairie View A&M University. I think that is where Professor Valicia is going right now to get another doctoral degree. That's a sister that I interviewed yesterday. If y'all missed that interview yesterday, I'm telling y'all, man, that was a powerful interview yesterday, man, full of information. Go check that interview out yesterday. After slavery was officially over. Okay, after slavery was was over in the United States, we started to see abolitionists and a lot of churches, i.e. white Northern Baptist churches, help those who were now free to help aid and assist them in having a better life, equal rights, high education. High education was believed in the 19th century as the standard to get blacks out of the conditions they were in. So once you start, Steve McNair, appreciate that, brother Ben. Peace to brother Ben. Steve McNair. Steve, man, I seen that brother play. I was in high school at the time, and man, I went majority. That's where I supposed to went to school was Alcorn, but I wanted to be different. So I went to USM. I went to USM instead of Alcorn because my whole entire family on my daddy's side and some on my mother's side went to Alcorn. So all my family was up there. I wasn't trying to see my family and go up there. So I went somewhere, but we went to all the games as well. So, and coming out of slavery And I know y'all know the term, and we done talked about this Talented 10, right? So that Talented 10, right, was something that was ushered and pushed by, Lord, I'm finna say Carter G. Wilson, but W.E.D. Du Bois, right? He wrote something about the W Journal, about the Talented 10, right? But this ideology comes from, we'll talk about this ideology, but we already done talked about it on there, but we'll talk about it again. But coming out of slavery, before I go to the next slide, we know education, and that part of the Talented 10 ideology was that they believed that in order for these new freely Africans who has been free or been free for a while, in order for them able to succeed, that it would take education. So it was religion. We're gonna get into that. Religion was number one, and education was number two, right? What is the ABHMS, the American Baptist Home Missionary States, and what did they have to do with the HBCU's historical Black colleges, right? So let's see who is the American Baptist Home Missionary Society. I have talked about them at one time before. The American Baptist Home Missionary Society is a Christian missionary society. Its main predecessors to the Home Missionary Society was established in New York City in 1832 to operate in the American frontier with the stated mission to preach the gospel, establish churches, and give support and ministry to the unchurched and destitute. In the 19th century, the society was related to the Trinitarian Convention of Baptists. Today, it is part of the convention's successors, the American Baptist Church, U.S., previously known as the American Baptist Convention of 1950 through 1970. And the Northern Baptist Convention, 1907 and 1950, it is the successors by merging several 19th century Baptist organizations related to the missions and educations, including publications of education, right? So their goal was to establish churches and give support to ministries to the unchurched and the destitute. These were some of the things of the, and when you think of the Talented 10, specifically those ideology of the Talented 10, it comes from these northern white Christians or these northern white churches. This is where the Talented 10 ideology comes from, of high education. So the purpose of some of the abolishers, in particular this American Baptist Home Missionary Society, which was very important and key, they were essential to helping those who were coming out of slavery that was illiterate, and those who could not afford an education or high education, was to make sure that these people get a high education, because one of the main ingredients of the Talented 10 was high education. They believe, and W.E.D. Du Bois has quoted this same sentiment, that only high education can get us out of the situation that we are in, right? So the Talented 10 is a term designated as a leadership class of African descent American in the early 20th century. The term was created by white northern philanthropists, then publicized by W.E.D. Du Bois in influenced essays of the same name, which he published in September of 1903. It appeared in The Negro Problem, a collection of essays written by leading African Americans. The phrase Talented 10 originated in 1896 among white Northern liberals, specifically the American Baptist Home Missionary Society. Specifically, the American Baptist Home Missionary Society, a Christian missionary society strongly supported by John D. Rockefeller. They had the goals of establishing Black colleges in the South. They had a goal of establishing Black colleges in the South. They had a goal of establishing Black colleges in the South. They had a goal of establishing Black colleges in the South to train Black teachers and elites. In the 1903, W.E. Du Bois wrote that the talented 10, Theodore Roosevelt was president of the United States and industrialized was skyrocketing. Du Bois thought it was a good time for African Americans to advance their position in society. So W.E. Du Bois quoted the same sentiment. He believed at that time in the late 19th century, early 20th century, that the only way that Black people in America would come out of the detriment that they were in was high education, creating leaders, and those who were afforded the right to get this high education was to go back into the community and spread this high information to everyone within their community, right? So the talent of the 10 referred to one in the 10 Black men that have cultivated the ability to become leaders of the Black community by acquiring the college education, writing books, which also was a standard, writing books and becoming and a lot of people shove this off. Like, you know, when we say we write books and, you know, and people and when people, we go against people with certain things that not going to put anything on paper or a journal or article, write a book, they'll shove it off like writing books is nothing, you know, or we ain't doing nothing, right? But in becoming directly involved in social change, the talented 10 Du Bois argued that these colleges, education, African-American men should sacrifice their personal interest in the use of education to lead the better Black community, right? So the American Baptist Home Missionary Society is a Christian missionary society strongly supported, right, by John D. Rockefeller. They had the goal of establishing Black colleges in the South. That's why I always say when people say it was the Northern liberals, it was the Northern white churches that is the origins behind the HBCUs. It is the origin behind it. Because even when you go to the historical Black College of Morehouse, right, Morehouse quoted the same sentiment or adopted the talented 10 ideology. And Morehouse, which is a historical Black college, is named after a European who were the secretary of the American Baptist Home Missionary Society. I can't remember his name at this. His full, hold on, I click this thing again. His full name at this time, but you can go and look it up. You can look it up. All right. 90% of Southern Blacks unable to read or write at the outbreak of the Civil War, illiteracy proved a bitter fruit of bondage. This is correct. We know a lot of people was illiterate coming out of slavery because here in the United States, it was illegal for Blacks to read and write, right? And we was rejected from a lot of their schools. We were in it at a particular time when we was coming out of slavery and we trying to develop and do our own, we was rejected these high educations at this time. You had some people on the plantation that could read, but the only piece of literature at that time, if they could read, was the Bible at this particular time, right? And that's going to be key too, because we're going to talk about that too, right? So African Americans will quickly identify literature with personal fulfillments and upward mobility. The testimony of ex-slaves repeatedly noted how significant it was to read the Bible. Write one name, compute one's earning, and teach others to do the same. Despite the value of education to individuals' advancement, its largely more lasting services was perceived in terms of collective power. Education, especially high education, was considered essential to the progress of African Americans as a group. W.E. Du Bois, this was his sentiment. Carter G. Wilson, this was his sentiment. The African Academy, which became the American Negro Academy letter, this was their sentiment. They believe in high ed, and after them, the Independent African Academy, this was their sentiment, right? High education was going to be essential for Black people progress within America, right? And this ideology comes from those white liberals or those white northern white churches. Specifically, who had their hands in it was the American Baptist Home Missionary Society, right? opening school doors to women's Northern whites efforts, specifically those in American Baptist-owned missionary society and its women's auxiliary in New England in the Midwest, played a seminal role in developing the education of Black leaders. So coming out of slavery, and let's say we go all the way up to the 80s, you start to see the American Baptist-owned missionary societies and these white liberal churches, right? These white Christian churches, they began to have a hand in helping out Blacks who needed a high education at this particular time. They are the one that begins to set up the Black colleges. And they began to start to teach these people, but they was targeting certain people. So we know most of our people coming out of slavery, we could not practice our own indigenous systems. You know, voodoo was banned. Ifa was banned. Gulu and Kulu was banned. Nkumi was banned. Ordinandi was banned. All these different things were banned. Which I would call African traditional religions was banned, right? But we know that was the whole goal of the missionaries anyway, was to set these schools up, because they did this in Africa when we talking about they went in and colonized the area, right? Right? So where I'm at, hold on. So in the 80s, they targeted, I lost my point. In the 80s, they target Black ministers, because we know on the plantation, those that could read, the only piece of literature they was able to read was the Bible. And we know at this particular time that they turned us against our own traditions and said that our way of life was pagan. We was idolatrous. We was primitive. So in order for us to, we was inhuman. So, you know, they taught us their way of life. They gave us their religion at this particular time. So when you start to look, even when you start to look at a lot of these people that I have respect for, a lot of these were ministers. When you go and look at a lot of people in the African Academy, which later became the American Negro Academy, those were ministers and pastors who championed on with that education of high learning.
I'll be right back.
I ain't got to keep clicking this thing, right? So the education of Black leaders in 1862 let me see. American Baptist Missionary is the women's auxiliary in New England. The Midwest played a seminal role in the development of educating Black leaders. And then after the 80s, you going into the 90s, you start to see the women. You start to see the women championing on this education. I got to do some more research, because I have another whole opinion on why we see more women who are in school and becoming more successful. Because when you go back and study that during the 1890s, you start to see, because at first the women was excluded. They was targeting trying to make leaders, right? They was trying to make Black leaders. And most of those individuals was preachers, you know what I'm saying, were ministers, right? And then later, 10 years, 12 years later, they began to, the women started to champion on. And then when you start to look at the numbers, right? You start to look at the numbers, you start to see an influx of more women than men enrolled in school for these high educations, and more women becoming successful and becoming teachers and etc. Afterwards, but that's a whole nother story too. But in the midst of the Civil War, the ABHMS pledged to provide emancipation slaves with Christianity instruction. The midst of the Civil War, the ABHMS pledged to provide the emancipated slave with Christian instructions. So now when you go back and you look and you study the ABHMS and you study those particular churches, because before there was buildings of Blacks housed for these high educations, they was housed in white churches, white Christian churches, particularly in a lot of the churches' basements is where a lot of our people was getting this high education. But when you look at the curriculum of some of the high education, it was a lot of Christian instructions involved in the education, right? And just keep listening to what I'm saying, because when I get to my hypothesis and my conclusion, why our good brothers and sisters who say that they are Greeks, why they still call themselves Greeks and not Africans, you'll see. It is reported that in 1865, the ABHMS designated the training of black men for the ministry as the most direct symbol of effective ways of teaching the masses colored people. In this report, in 1865, the ABH designated the training of black men for ministry as the most direct, accessible, and effective way of teaching the mass of colored people. In less than a decade, the society broadened its goals to include the collegiate training of black women. In 1872, Shaw University in North Carolina, a home mission school, opened its doors to women. The other HBHMS, which is the American Baptist Home Missionary Society, schools moved quickly to become co-educational. By 1880, the mid-white Baptist educationists owned and supported 8 schools for blacks, only 2 in which were exclusively males. Richmond Institution was a male, Richmond, Virginia, Atlanta Baptist College. I got a question. What was Atlanta Baptist College? For people, it's not Atlanta Baptist College no more, right? But it started off as a male college, right? It's a HBCU, the American Baptist College. Can somebody tell me what the American Baptist College is today in Atlanta? Atlanta, Georgia Shaw, Nashville, Tennessee, Natchez Seminary, Natchez, Mississippi, Leland University, New Orleans, Louisiana, and Wayland Seminary, Washington, D.C. All right. These are the BGLOs, that is the Black Greek Letter Organizations. So first, before I go into that, let's go back. We know, and I'm probably going to reiterate this stuff again, the origins that a lot of people don't talk about, and I'm still not knocking it. I'm still not knocking it, and I'm still not knocking it. HBCUs. I love HBCUs. I also, love the people who come out of the HBCUs. I got a lot of friends who are part of the Black Greek Letter Organization. So again, this is not to talk down on the HBCUs, but I'm just trying to establish my point. So when I say certain things, man, my bad. So when let me just mute this thing, got all the way so that won't happen. So when Morehouse, that's correct. Black Panther, Masi, that's correct. Black Panther is Morehouse. So, so when I say what I said at the end, people can kind of understand, okay, they can follow or understand why I came up with my hypothesis and my conclusion. So I'm trying to make my point on why I believe that they still calling themselves Greeks and not Africans, right? So we know that, and a lot of people don't talk about the origins of, and a lot of people think that historical black colleges were started by black people, when that's incorrect. A lot of people don't know what the origins of it was helped by and championed by white Christian churches, white liberal philanthropists, right? And their white abolishers, as well as black abolishers, were the key, or were the essentials. As saying was W. Du Bois, Carter G. Wilson, or the whole entire American Negro Academy, which was the African Academy at one time, the New Independent Academy, which we renamed to the New Independent African Academy. We trying to set those same goals, that it was essential for higher education. We were, and during the late 19th century, there were not tons of black people in these high education institutions or colleges, right? So, and the illiteracy rate was very high coming out of slavery, because it was, again, legal for us to read and write. So these the American Baptist Home Missionary Society was very influential with coming up with this ideology of talented 10, which was to create leaders. You know what I'm saying? And at that particular time, I respect that too. In the early 20th century, we were producing leaders and not leaders. Like at one particular time, we believed one man or one woman was going to take us to the promised land. And in this time, they was creating leaders, not one individual, with a grassroots of people, correct? So anyway, these missionary society, this missionary society set up and started educating these free people in the Christian churches, specifically in their basements. And from them educating men first, who were ministers that they target that we read, right? And within the curriculum had a Christian curriculum as well and tied into this high education. Then later you start to see they started to teach these women in Atlanta and then in Richmond, Virginia. Atlanta is very important. That's why you see a lot of the HBCUs there, right? So they begin to teach these high education in these white churches, and the churches, and a lot of them was taught in these basement of these churches. And then later on you will see that the basement of the churches will become other buildings, which later will become these HBCUs, these buildings of these campuses that we got now, like a Morehouse and a Spelman, a Clark Atlanta, and so many other Howard College and so many other colleges, right? So now we get to, and with the HBCUs, we know we're famous for the bands and we're famous for the Black Greeks letter organizations, right? So National Pan-Hellenic Council, what does Hellenic mean? What does Hellenic mean, right? Hellenic, the branch of the Indo-European language. It doesn't say Indo-African or Indo-Nigerian, Indo-Ghanese or Indo-Kenya or Kenya language or whatever. It's an Indo-European language family comprised classically and modern Greek. This is from the Oxford Dictionary. So this is the main council of the Divine Nine, is what they would call it. These 9 Black Greek letter organizations, right? So Hellenic has something to do with modern Greek, right? This is from the Oxford Dictionary. So about the national, let's see about the National Black Hellenic Council. Was founded in May 1930 at Howard University in Washington, D.C. The charter organizations were Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Inc., Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Inc., Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Inc., Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Inc., Omega Psi. I don't know how to pronounce that, how they pronounced it at the end, but I'm just going to say fraternity because I don't want to disrespect that name. In 1931, Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Inc. and Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Inc. joined the council, followed by the Sigma Gamma Sorority Inc. in 1937. The NPHC incorporated under the law of the states of Illinois in 1937. Lambda Phi Theta Fraternity Inc. joined the National Pan-Hellenic Council as its 9th affiliate member in 1997. Their missions and objectives, right? And again, I stand for a lot of the missions and objectives because I worked side by side with a lot of the sororities and a lot of the fraternities. Again, I was never a part of any fraternity. Like I said, I almost joined the Q Dogs. And for people that know about the Q Dogs, yeah, I was living that same, we know how the Q Dogs lived. I don't know how they are on campus now, or are they still relevant or whatever at that case, but I was living like that. So they was the only one that I could identify myself with, but at the last minute, I didn't join. But again, I have been a Mason, man, well over maybe 18, 16, 17 years. I can't remember. I've been inactive for 4.5 years. I was an active member for 14 years, 13 to 14 years, and active, might have been longer than active, consistent every year. And within those 14 years, I was a 32nd degree Mason. I was in every house all the way up in the Blue Lodge, and I was all the way up because I was also a member of the Order of Eastern Star. I served as a patron of Double Peace number 98, where a lot of my sisters are in the sororities, right? Also in the sororities. And I was all the way up on the sister side. So, and within all, for people that are Masons know, when you have all these high degrees, that means you in every house, you have lots of meetings you have to go to. So within that 13 to 14 year span of active, I probably missed within those years, I may have missed 5 meetings within 13, 14 years, right? So I was very dedicated to the organization, right? And within that, we did what we supposed to do, and we worked it. A lot of times when we helped aid out in these communities and saw some of these communities that needed help, a lot of times when we were doing stuff, a lot of these fraternities and sororities was right there, because I had brothers who was in the craft who also was a part of some of these fraternities. I had some sisters that was in the order that was also a part of the sorority. So they would get their sorority sisters. The brothers would get their fraternity brothers to also give us a helping hand and aid the people in the community. So again, I have no gripes against their missions and their objective, because their missions and their objectives are in line with the Totalitarian ideology. It's also in line with what we as Freemasons, some of our objectives are. So I have no problem with their mission. So the purpose, I'm not going to read it, shall be foster cooperative actions of members of dealing with matters of mutual concerns. This ends of the NPHS promotes the well-beings of the affiliated fraternities and sororities, facilitated and established by the development of the local councils of the NPH, and provide leadership training and constitutions. Like I said, I'll leave it here for a second. Y'all can go back and pause it later, and y'all can read through some of their missions and some of their objectives. And some of their missions and objectives now have taken their objectives and missions and take it to Africa, right? They are at Africa now with these missions and objectives. Their main goal is not to help aid and assist people in their own communities or in communities that need the help, but now they are taking their objectives and missions, and they are now going to Africa and trying to make change over there. Why the traditions must continue. Each of the 9 NPH organizations involved during a period of African Americans were being denied essential rights or privileges affording others. Racial isolation and predominant white campuses and social barriers of classes of campuses created a need for African Americans to align themselves with other individuals sharing common goals and ideals. So if somebody popped in here, I definitely can't see it. So I hope y'all are able to click yourself in. Let me see. Y'all give me one second.
I got him, Kofi.
Okay, cool. With the relationships such as needed, the African-American Black Greek Letters Organization movement took a persona and heavy and outlated, which could foster brotherhood and sisterhoods in pursuits to bring about social change through development of social programs that will create positive change for Blacks and the country. Today, the needs remain the same. Primarily purpose and focus of the NPHC members organization remains a community awareness and action through educational, economics, and cultural service activities. Greek membership goes beyond the collegiate experiences. We know once you graduate, they got the alumni, so you can join the alumni. And it's a lot of great benefits of being a part of these organizations. I take nothing from that. This is a lifetime commitment. The individual members is expected to align with the graduates and alumni chapter, followed by the graduates from college, with the expectation that he or she will attend regular chapter meetings, regional conferences, and national conventions, and take an active part in the matters concerning the affecting the community in which he or she lives. Right. And now they are taking that same, again, objective, and they have gone into Africa. Right. The NPH promotes interaction, though formal meetings and other mediums of exchange of information, encouraging cooperative programs initiated through various activities and functions. All right. The Divine Nine and National Pan-Hellenic Council. Again, the Divine Nine is those 9 Black Greek letter organizations. Alpha sorority founded in 1908 in Howard University. Alpha Phi Alpha fraternity founded in 1906, Cornell University. Kappa Alpha Psi fraternity found 1911, Indiana University. Omega Psi Phi fraternity found 1911, Howard University. Delta Sigma Theta sorority found 1913, Howard University. Phi Beta Sigma fraternity found 1914, Howard University. Zeta Phi Beta sorority found 1920, Howard University. Sigma Gamma Rho sorority found 1922, Butler University. Lotto Phi Theta fraternity found 1963, Morgan State University. And shout out to Morgan State University for what they are actually trying to do and how they are becoming involved in Ghana. Morgan State University is slated to establish an international presence of African continent by the way of new pilot programs. During the recent public sessions of the MSU board and regime winners quarterly meetings, the broad unanimous approved the proposal for the universities to begin offering 3 degrees programs: a Master Business Administration, a Master of Science and Global Multiple Media, Journalist and Communication, and a Bachelor of Science in Entrepreneurship. It is partnership with the African University College of Communication and let me see if I can pronounce it. Adabraka, Accra, Ghana. The pilot program is scheduled to begin the fall of 2020, creating opportunities for the Western African students and pursue degrees from Morgan. The collaboration marks the first of its kind for a HBCU in Ghana, with Morgan poised to join only a select few American university offer degrees programs in Africa. And a lot of other people are now trying to start to get on board with these HBC satellite universities. Shout out to Sister Felicia. I see she's in the chat. Shout out to Sister Felicia. Again, that's the professor that I interviewed yesterday, man. I'm telling you, it was a great interview. I definitely enjoyed the interview. She came with the interview. I mean, it was very educational interview. This sister is very well traveled. She is a very, very intellectual a person. She is a master teacher. And she'll give you some of the criteria of what it takes to become a master teacher. We throw that name around loosely a lot as well. Over the past 5 years, we have been very interested in Africa and have been eyeing expansions into markets. We look forward to piloting. This is I think the dean over there at Morgan State. We look forward to piloting the 3 academic degrees programs in Ghana. And if that intuitive and successful in attracting top-notch students and awarding them highly valued Morgan degrees, we consider establishing a more physical presence in Africa, said Morgan president, the president, David Wilson. So long as I am a president of the institution, Morgan will never be in status. We cannot afford to stand still. It is incumbent upon the university to lean forward and continuously explore all vital opportunities in these rapidly transform higher education environments. And now you're starting to see other people that's trying to get on board, and you have people who are even these Black Greek organizations. They have targeted West Africa, and we know why they targeted West Africa, because most African Americans over here in the United States, even the Caribbeans on those islands in South America, a lot of those people come from West Africa. A smaller percent comes from out of Central Africa. So now they are getting involved in what's going on over there in Africa, right? So according to Valicia Hawkins Morse, like I said, she's in the chapter. I mean, she's in the Lord, I'm losing train of thought. She's in the chat. She's in the chat. Again, shout out to her. More Valicia and Moore in her article, The Role of Africans During This HBC Renaissance and Revolution, Prognations for the impact of HBCUs in Africa. The BGLOs, again, that is Black Greek letter organizations, have long established a presence on the continent of Africa and have strong ties to West African specifically. The Divine Nine, again, Divine Nine are those 9 Black Greek letter organizations, is composed of all the Pan-Hellenic council members. And I'm not gonna go through the names. We know who them are. I just named them when they was founded and what college. Right? Each organization has a distinct and specific relationship with West African nations, and they are currently working to establish and advance common goals and objectives with local, national, and a diasporic community as a whole. Great article by that sister. I advise everybody to go read it. If you need it, hit me up. And Chavis will send it to you, or I'll send it to you. And one of the articles that I read of the sister, her published article, this is what got me to actually write this article. I'm telling you, immediately after I read the sister article, boom, I went straight to putting the presentation together. I think that was Friday. ETA Beta Ogma chapter. This is in Liberia. Because some of the things when I was reading her both of her articles, published articles, is that some of the information like I wasn't privy to. I was like, damn, I'm learning. So I'm understanding a few things, but some things I'm still not rocking with. And that's that Greek thing, right? The Greek thing, them still consider themselves Greeks. But I didn't know that they had a presence in Africa in 1957. These Black Greek letter organizations had presence in Africa in 1957, right? Eta Beta Omega chapter became the first international chapter of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. The need for the chapter arose as a result arriving from a woman educated in American college and universities who came to live and worked in Liberia, the first independent African republic. Eta Beta Omega history begins with the timeline journey of Miss Anna E. Cooper, who traveled by ship from Liberia to the port of New York City. This journey eventually brought her back to the U.S. to the 1944 bowl in Nashville, Tennessee, where she and a group of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated members living in Liberia petitioned for a chapter in Monroe, Liberia. We know Liberia is in West Africa. It is close to the border of Sierra Leone, Liberia. And it's something that I may do on Liberia because I know it's some stuff that people may not know, thought it was all sweet. And I'll say what that means. But Liberia begins in the early 19th century as a project of the American Colonist Society, which believes Black people would face better chances for freedom and prosperity in Africa than the United States between 1820 and the outbreak of the American Civil War in 1861. More than 15,000 free and freeborn Black people who face social legal oppressions in the U.S., along with 3,198 Afro-Caribbeans relocated to Liberia, gradually developing an Americo-Liberia identity, the settlement of carrying their culture and tradition with them. The Liberia Constitution and flags were modeled after those of the U.S. So if you see the Liberia flag, it's damn near look like the United States flag. I'm not going to read the rest of this, but Liberia, we know what happened. Those people went over. A lot of people don't know that the American Colonization Society, you had the Mississippi Colonization Society, you had the New York Colonization Society, you had the Virginia Colonization Society. These societies were trying to help people, free people, go back to Africa and establish their own in Africa, right? So we know about Sierra Leone, we know about Liberia, and the American Colonist Society sent an individual to broker a deal with some of the people in Liberia to purchase land, right? A lot of stuff you read, they're not going to tell you that exactly they got turned down. I think they went once or twice and got turned down. Something happened and they took it by force. And they took it by force, the land by force that they don't talk about, and them taking it by force. A lot of these free African Americans going over, they thought it was sweet. And civil wars began to break out later on because the people that was there thought that they was in on those Europeans, the African American Colonization Society, who signed an individual to broker the deal to purchase land for these people over here to build their own. That's a whole nother story. That's something that I may talk about on another show or something like that. But that's a little bit about Liberia. Who is Anna E. Cooper? Because I mentioned Anna B. Cooper coming to the United States, right? And she petitioned for a charter for one of the Black Greek letter organization of sorority, right? So Cooper was born in Mobile, Liberia, into a large, and essentially she must have, her parents must have relocated there doing, you know, after the Civil War, before the Civil War. Cooper was born in Mobile, Liberia, into a large influence America Liberia family. Her father was Jesse Randolph Cooper. Her sister was Cecilia Adeline Cooper, married Ambassador Charles D.B. King, who was Liberia president from 1920 to 1930. Her brother Henry R. Cooper and Charles E. Cooper were also in the government. Cooper studied at the College of West Africa in Monrovia. She went to the United States in 1904 and attended Central Alabama Institution, Morgan State College, and finally Howard University. So she went to these historical Black colleges over here in the United States also, and received degrees where she played basketball, was a member of the Kappa Alpha, and earned a bachelor's degree in 1921. She returned to the United States in 1933, earning a master's degree in teaching Columbia University. She also studied in London. Cooper taught at the College of West Africa, West Africa from 1920 to 1928, and then a science professor at Liberia College from 1929 to 1931, teaching chemistry and physics. In 1931, she organized a college science department. Cooper became dean administrator for the Liberia College, the first woman of the dean at the school. She led the school, transformed it into the University of Liberia in 1951. So Anna E. Cooper were the one who brung, in the 20th century, brung the Black letter organization, or the Black Greek sororities, to Africa. You know, so that was the first presence of it being there. In the summer of 2019, a group of fraternity brothers from Montclair Kappa League of Kappa Alpha Psi Incorporated took a group of 6 high school mentees from New Jersey to Ghana. Shout out to that fraternity. West Africa, the Montclair Kappa League hosted an annual international travel series, and the Kappa wanted to make sure that the youth from the area that they serve had a chance to experience the Year of Return hosted by the Republic of Ghana that year. The Year of Return is an African diasporic initiative designed to reconnect historical displaced and dismembered African descendants individuals with Africa. For an example, historically Black colleges and university homecoming initiative seeks to create an inter-university exchange between HBCUs and African universities. It is a part of the large, most successful and comprehensive reorientation and cultural, social, political revolution throughout the African diaspora. The Year of Return was a clarion call for African descendants across the diaspora to return home. They could metaphorically revisit the place of their ancestors' birth through interaction, conference, diasporic academy, and I think Professor Valicia went also to the Year of Return, I think in 2009 when the Kappas went. She could tell you, she's in the chat. I think that's what she told me as well. I know she's been there though. Acquainted, she's been to Ghana several times to be exact. These youth of African origin histories through the years of return trips and powerful effects the Kappa, let me move my phone. Effects on the Kappa League. One of the Kappa League stated, walking down the same path of some of our ancestors followed by their last bath before being sold into slavery, I felt connecting these young men to their history can help them become the change agents of tomorrow, empowering them to be the authors of a new narrative that uplift, unify, and edify Black children and youth. Again, shout out to the Kappa Alpha Psi Incorporated for leading those high school people to Africa to reconnect with their roots and in effect and hoping that it affects some type of change upon their lives where it can empower them to come back and do more for their people, uplift them, and teach them how to unify, right? These are some of the images. These are some of the images of the high school students who went. There go some of them right there with some of the fraternity brothers. There go them right there. There go them right there. Why Greek instead of African? Now I'm asking why Greek instead of African now. You know, I can understand starting out, right? We all been conditioned to certain things. And what I mean by condition, again, a lot of people think that our way of life was Christianity, which is not exact. People say Christianity always been in Africa. No, it hadn't. We have killed that claim so many different times, right? And I'm not finna get into it right now. And we know that a lot of us was heavy influenced with Christianity via the Atlantic slave trade, you know, and through colonization, right? Through them doubling back to Africa and colonizing a place that ain't even there, taking over these people government and land, and they don't even belong there, right? But I understand us being conditioned, and even with us going to school, we're being conditioned that the Greeks contributed, was the first, you can say was the first language. I know that's what I was taught. The Greeks was the first people to civilize civilization, right? So now they're conditioning us about a group of people that did all these things, that made all these contributions, right? Condition us, right? And then you go home and you get through with your homework. I don't, and they do it at night. But when I was a young boy, I would get through with my homework, and my grandmother say I can watch TV, right? Y'all can go and watch TV now. So we'll go turn the TV on and watch some of our favorite shows, or even watch some of the old shows that my grandmother liked. Majuba Ibe Egungun to my grandmother as well. She just transitioned last week into the ancestor world. So when we would watch TV, she would let us watch TV after we got through with our homework, right? Every commercial would be a negative image of Africa. Every commercial will be, I BS you not, every commercial within those commercial spots, it may be 3 or 4 commercial spots, and one of those commercial spots was always something of Africa, negative of Africa. So now we're learning that Africa was primitive people. We go to the churches, we go to the mosques, we go to the synagogues, you know, those who wasn't born in Christianity, those who may have been raised as a Muslim, who goes to the mosque, those smaller few of us who might have been Jews went to the synagogue, but that's very few at the time. So you're being teaching and conditioned that you're learning about these other group of people that does not look like you, who did this, that, and the third, and these are the chosen people. And that's, so we're being conditioned. We go to the churches, we're being conditioned. We go to the schools, we're being conditioned. We come home and we want to relax and watch TV and watch our favorite show during the commercial spots. We're being conditioned because all of this stuff. And then at that prior time, you had people that had never been into Africa that was writing about Africa. So your parents would look in the newspaper or read a journal or something, and it would be negative things about people in Africa. Because so I get at that particular time, okay, well, let's attach ourselves to something that we feel like that was great, because we didn't know, because they kept some of these Greeks, when we talk about Socrates and Plato and Thales and Ammonics and all these other people who went into Africa, who went to Kemet, who studied at the Alexander Library or the Alexander Institution, you know, who taught them. They don't tell you about these things, right? Right? So I kind of get it from that perspective. Even that's why I was giving you the date of the origins of when these Black Greek organizations were started, because at that particular time, it still never crossed my mind, and I'm still believing that these people, these Greek people, was these people did contribute a lot to the world. So we owe these people. So I understand, you know, at that time, them connecting themselves to that. But then later on, you start to see the presence of these Black Greek organizations in Africa. So you see the first sorority in 1957. you know, via the way of Anna E. Coleman, right? Then you start to see later other people start to come into Africa, and now the HBCUs are trying to set up HBCU satellites. So shout out to Morgan State with the first one, but other HBCUs are getting on board, and you have other Black Greek letter organization who has been in Africa, numerous places in Africa, who are taking their same main objectives and goals and now going into Africa and doing the community service over there, right? So damn, and you see the Kappas who just did something in 2009 and taking these young men who I commend to go back because they thought it was enriching their life, will enrich their life and empower their life, right? So they know about Africa now. They should know about the contributions of Africa, because at that time we didn't have bookstores. We didn't have the internet where information is instant gratification. Now we can order something off of Barnes and Nobles, Amazon, and all these other bookstores if we want to cry. So now we are in an information age. It is no excuse. So, and they know now that we are descendants from Africa. They should know now that our ancestors contributed a lot to the world, right? So, and they are reconnecting themselves back with the root, with their roots, their ancestry roots in Africa. And a lot of them are identifying themselves and being proud. Instead of when you saying African in a sense, they looking at you with a distaste or a disdain in their mouth for saying something negative. They're holding their heads up high, you know, now, right? So why Greek instead of African, right? That's what I'm trying to understand. So the BGLO, Black Greek Letter Organization, it is said that the BGLO entities have long established a presence on the continent of Africa and have a strong ties of West African specifically. Divine Nine, which is those 9 Black Greek Black Letter Organization, which has a distinct and specific relationship with West African nations, and they are currently working to establish and advance common goals and objectives with the local, national, and diasporic community as a whole. This is what they're doing, right? So this is what the Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority is doing. This is what the Alpha Phi Alpha fraternity is doing. This is what Alpha Psi fraternity is doing. Omega Psi Phi fraternity is doing. Delta Sigma Theta sorority is doing. The Phi Beta Sigma fraternity is doing. The Zeta Phi sorority is doing. The Sigma Gamma Rho sorority is doing. The Lambda Phi Theta fraternity is doing. They are in West Africa, trying to advance common goals and objectives with local, national, and diasporic communities as a whole. They are trying to affect better change in Africa now, with giving them more education, giving them more opportunities, you know what I'm saying, creating more jobs, you know what I'm saying, and, you know, being a self-servant as they are, you know, as what the organization does, right? So this is my conclusion and my opinion. This is no one else's opinion. This is my conclusion, right? And my opinion. I, Kofi Piesie, do not have anything against our Black Greek letter organizations. I respect what they do for as aid and assist the community with the community services. The only thing I disagree is that they call themselves Greeks. I was not aware of the BGLO Black Greek Letter Organizations had some early presence in Africa and now reaching out to help aid and assist West Africa and their higher learning institutions and their communities. I also learned about one of the fraternities taking their young mentees, which we talked about, the Kappas, to Africa to connect with their roots and empower them. Now with the presence of these BGLO, which is the Black Greek Letter Organizations in Africa, and the HBCUs trying to set up HBCUs, satellite schools in Africa, they know now their ancestry goes back to West Africa and a small percentage to Central Africa. Again, why now in 2022, they still referring to themselves as Greeks? The BGLO were started in the historical Black colleges, and if you listen to the few slides where I deal with the origins and the founders of those HBCUs, who were white Northern Baptist Church and Christian missionary organizations called the HBMSH, which is the American Baptist Home Missionary Society. Maybe because the teachings that they had those teaching has been passed on for centuries since the conceptions of the HBCUs. Now I'm gonna stop right there. And what I mean by that is if you go back and you look at my women's talented 10 presentation, I talk about and I give you numerous sources of them being taught within these white Christian churches and in their background. I even give you some of the primaries highlighting a lot of the curriculum that they was given, and a lot of the curriculum was they were still conditioning them to be Christians. And we know that's what they did when they went into Africa and doing slavery. They made you reject your own way of life and they gave you their own. They gave you theirs, right? And they even enslaved a lot of people because you were not of the Christian belief, right? So a lot of the curriculum has to do with them conditioning them to be Christians. And if you look at that particular time, there was a fight and a struggle before African traditions to be recognized by Western society. That's why you get the word African tradition or religion later when you go and you study Africanic studies of African condition. You have John and Beatty and Adudawa to thank for that, but it's not owned by us because Godfrey was the white European. He was the one who did it because he was helping to try to fight back against because they was painting a bad picture on African people, right? So I'm saying that some of the conditions through the education was still passed down through these HBCUs from these American Baptist home missionary societies. And if you study any missionary society, a missionary school, a particular missionary that went into Africa that set up the schools, go and look at their curriculum. They erase them from they can't speak their native tongue. They give you their language. That's why in Africa you got Africans that speak in Portuguese, you got Africans that speak in French, you got Africans that speak in English, you got Africans that speak in Arab. Their own way of life, they shun on it, and their ancestors been doing this way before any invader, for as a European or Arab, entering into their country or into their land, right? We know around the time Africa was being written about in a negative way, and people was considered devils, right? And they was teaching this too. They was teaching this within the schools. And the incompetent of having religion incompetent of having a religion and didn't have a God. That was supposed to have been. Those HBCUs was rooted heavily in Christianity, and the Christian community hated African way of life. This was, if you go and study, I'm not making this up. They had a disdain, a distaste for Africa. That's why you had people in America writing about Africa that had never been to Africa in a negative way. That's why you had commercials after commercials attacking Africa and giving you away so you wouldn't go there or you wouldn't even want to study that. They went into Africa and set up these missionary schools and told them that their way of life and their way of living was not the way. And if you didn't provide, a lot of them was enslaved. Hated African way of life, customs, traditions, and maybe because the conditions was from these learning institutions that provided, which Christian values are our mothers and fathers passed down to us, and the negative writing and images that we read and seen as it were, they believe that Greek culture superseded or imperial to our African culture, where they just can't change the name or fully see themselves as Africans, right? So that's my conclusion. And this is why my conclusion is that, and I feel like they'll never change their name from Greece, because now at one point they didn't know better, right? Because we all didn't know better, right? But now we're seeing a lot of them identifying with Africa. A lot of them have traveled to Africa. A lot of them are trying to take kids to Africa. A lot of them are now trying to set up schools in Africa. A lot of them is aligning themselves with different nations in West Africa. So they know better now. At the beginning, they didn't know better because I didn't know better. I was taught that it was great.
Kofi,
go ahead.
That's not true.
What's not true?
That they didn't know any better. I want you to go back to some pictures in your slides. Go back to the slide where you have the crest.
Okay.
The crest.
Are you talking about with the BGLO?
Yes.
Okay.
Stop right there.
Right there. Okay.
What's that in the Alpha's crest?
Man, I can't hardly see that, man. I see a man holding the world. I see a cup because it's kind of blurred on my end because I got it in large. I see a cup in a book.
No, specifically Alpha Phi Alpha, 1906. What's
okay? All right. I look it down here at the bottom. Okay, I still hardly can't see that. I don't know if that's a man.
Those are Sphinx from Egypt.
Oh, we're talking about in the middle right there.
Yeah.
And I can't hardly see that from there because it's blowed up on my end. Okay, I'm gonna have to look. Okay,
it's not that they didn't know. That's not why.
So they had. So you saying they had a sense of
absolutely.
knowing.
I have an article that I got from the Schomburg Museum where alphas were calling themselves Nubians. It's not that they didn't know. No. See, when you talk about this, you have to go back be pre-Pan-Hellenic Council, because you can't talk about Black Greeks without talking about Pi Gamma Omicron, which most people have probably never heard of. But Pi Gamma Omicron was a group founded at Ohio State University. It was founded in 1905, 1 year before the Alphas were founded. It had 12 members. The group was not known by the Ohio State Registrar's Office. They hid from Ohio State University. These were some brothers.
Oh, really?
Yeah. The people that outed them was the Chicago Defender newspaper, which wrote about Pi Gamma Omicron. They were acting in secret as a fraternity on the campus of Ohio State University, and no one knew about it. The article about Pi Gamma Omicron took interest with the Alpha Phi Alpha's founder, Robert H. Ogley. So when he found out that they could actually make a fraternity with brothers, that is what inspired him to form Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. Now, let's look at the time period, because you're talking about 1906. So before that, you have some fraternities. I'm just going to name some fraternities. You probably never heard of these. Have you ever heard of Chi Delta?
No, sir.
Chi Delta Theta?
No, sir.
Phi Beta Kappa?
Yes.
Kappa Alpha Fraternity? Kappa Alpha
Society? Yeah.
Sigma Phi Society? Delta Phi?
Delta Phi? Nah.
You will not hear of any of these because these are all white Greek organizations.
Right.
What I'm saying to you is, at the time, this is why they named themselves Greeks. They were trying to fit in. Simple and plain. They were trying to fit in. They were trying to make a Black organization, but they couldn't call it nothing crazy because they were trying to get actually accepted on the campuses. See, Mr. Robert saw the flaw in the Pi Gamma situation. He was like, man, that's a great idea, but you got to get the universities on board.
Right.
Pi Gamma Omicron was trying to do it at a PWI. They said we can do it at a HBCU, but if we are Greeks ourselves, it won't be looked at as crazy. It won't be looked at as we trying to do a Black Panthers or we trying to do a Black Liberation Army or nothing like that. It'll look like a normal student organization. So they chose Greek letters that and Asari Motup's got a great meme on this, but Alpha Phi Alpha, the Greek letters that they chose are largely laced in Egyptian history, and so is AKAs as well. And no, Julanda, I'm not a Black Greek. I just know a little bit about the history. I'm not a Black Greek.
So and yeah, I understand it. I understand that too, because we done did it so many times. And like I'm saying, you got to look at the time period. We talking about the early 20th century, right? So
yeah, because Kappa Alpha Psi wasn't always called Kappa Alpha Psi. It was Phi Nu Pi before that.
Right.
So they changed theirs as well.
So I get that. Like I'm saying, I get that. I get that. I totally get that. We talking about the early 20th century, right? So and it's not the first time we done did something in order to get it accepted. You know what I'm saying? Trying to mirror something else. My thing is now.
They're not changing.
Now, why do we have to continue to call ourselves Greeks now? Why?
I never hear anybody refer to themselves as a Greek. I hear somebody say they're a Black Greek, or I hear somebody say they're a Kappa, or they're an Omega, or they're a Sigma. I never hear anybody say I'm Greek.
I done heard it. I'm Greek.
And if they are, it's a statement of membership. It's not a statement of race or identity.
Well, I understand that, but still. So you saying you will call yourself, I'm a Greek. I'm a part of the Black Greek organization.
If I was a part of an organization, I would probably say the name of that organization. Okay. I would just say I'm an Alpha or a Kappa or an Omega or something like that.
But still,
I would not say I was a Greek.
But why not identify with who you are now? Why not identify? You good. Everything is, we had to do what we had to do in the 20th century, you know, to be accepted, to get these things going, blase, but we've been doing this for a long time.
Well, I know one thing about Black Greek organizations that is very influential and very important is legacy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like if you are if you got your grandmother, your mother, whatever, and they were Zetas, you joined the Zeta, you're a legacy, things of that nature. We got the same thing in the Masonic Lodge, but not as a high scale.
Mm-hmm.
But those things are important to them. That name is important to them. That's what their grandmama joined, is what their mother joined, is what their auntie joined. They all got their hats on at the Greek picnics.
Yes, and you want to see my family. I'm telling you, they all
and I know it. I know how it is. I mean, I went to a PWI. I went to Auburn University, so I have many friends that are, in the National Pan-Hellenic Council. I got many friends from the, even in the Masonic Lodge that are National Pan-Hellenic. I got many friends in the military. I got even co-workers now. But that name means something to them. Their chants, their paraphernalia, their steps, there's all ingrained. They have in a sense created a culture of their fraternity. And gold boots and hooks for one, and black and gold and fire symbols and canes and everything that is ingrained. You can't just change that overnight. You just can't.
Hey, Kofi,
you're gonna get a lot of pushback. This is a business as well. It is incorporated. See, that's the difference between Masonic lodges and Black Greek organizations. Like, Black Greek organizations are incorporated, which means this is a business structure. This is a legal corporation. It has shareholders. You can't change that. No, this is a business that's been going on for 100 years.
We're
gonna change it because now we found out that now we can be African and it's cool. Nah, we just gonna go over to Africa and do some good works. We ain't changing shit. I'll tell you that. I'm gonna tell you their attitude right now. They not changing a goddamn thing. You talk about a business. That would be like the United States, changing their name because of what happened in the atrocities in their history. Well, we're really not United States, but we ain't changing nothing.
Yeah. What you got T'Challa? I ain't got but a few more minutes, y'all. I'm about to jump out there. I gotta go meet my dad. But yeah, check the interview out. I mean, not the interview, but check it out, Star. Check out the whole thing. Check out the whole presentation I did.
Changed the name to a Hotel, and the bros weren't feeling it.
I asked the Fraternity. Yeah, he said he tried to change. I hear he goes, yeah, I forgot Asar is part of a fraternity. I forgot about that.
Asar is Alpha Phi Alpha.
Okay,
yeah, but we talking about incorporated, man. We talk about a business that has been running successfully, I might add, since the early 1900s. They not finna change not a damn thing.
Turn me
Y'all
off.
just gonna have to be mad.
Yeah, I'm just gonna be
Say
mad
that right now.
I'm mad. I'm mad.
And-
Go
and-
ahead.
and
Go ahead. My bad. Panther, what you say?
I was gonna say, and those that that bothers to a degree, those usually be the ones that don't end up joining. But I can say from being around so many Greeks from projects doing with them in conjunction with my Masonic Lodge, the only thing that's Greek about them is them letters.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, that's it. That's why I said I have nothing against them. I don't work with them.
I see a lot of African stuff that goes on in those fraternities that they may not know.
Oh yeah, it's a bunch of stuff, and that was something I was gonna highlight, but I'm not finna go back and add no slides, so I was gonna show a whole lot of similarity.
Well, you done it now.
Go ahead.
I just
you done it now.
Can I
go ahead.
Can I get
go ahead, T'Challa. Go ahead, man.
Because man, y'all just going, man.
Yeah, I got it.
I was just gonna say, it's what, like I mentioned yesterday, it's the same. It's about how deep you want to go. Like if we get mad at even an organization using Greek anything or European anything, I mean, I always argue with anybody. I go straight for language all day long. As much as people want to hate the white man, I tell people do like I do and get to learning some African languages, like all the way, and then just start speaking African languages to people. If it's that deep, like I see things from both sides. Like I understand. First of all, most black people that hate the white man, they not finna start speaking English. Ain't nobody trying to learn no other language than what they speaking. And they not finna change, like you say, branding and business, they really not. They'll rock all the RBG stuff, but they not finna not speak English though. I guarantee you that.
Facts.
So it's to me, it would be, you know what I'm saying? Like they not gonna go in all the way with that. Everybody on all these other channels, all in it. Oh, the white man, the devil this, the white man, we the real black, we the chosen people, the original people. Yeah, but you still speaking English, ain't you?
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And you have people that get mad at you. Like when I was a member of a group called Team Osiris, right? You have people that were mad at us for using Osiris, even though we were using it as an acronym. But people were mad at us because we were using that word Osiris, because Osiris is a Greek translation of Wasir or Wasar. And I said, okay, that's fine, but if I started saying to them ETM Hotep and they don't know what I mean, then why are you getting mad? It speaks to T'Challa's point. You don't want to. How else are we going to communicate? If I start saying Shelafi Ani Bawoni, and you don't know what the hell I'm saying, if I say Mboka, Jama Mboka, you don't know what I'm saying. Like, how else are we supposed to communicate with each other? And why are you getting upset because I'm using a word that you don't like? It's very interesting into T'Challa's point. How far are you willing to go? Because I don't think any Black Greek fraternity teaches Greek as a language.
Nah, they don't. I hadn't heard it, but like I said, I'm friends with a lot of them, and I had it's crazy. I had a royal battle with one of my sisters some years ago, Sister Delia, who's a part of the Double Peace Chapter number 98, the Order of Eastern Star, and she's also part of the Delta sorority. So, and we done kind of had a conversation in the class about it. But that's my sister. But I was surrounded around them all the time. Like when we did, like I said, when we did community service, I was around them all the time. It's just that name just bothers me because it's attached to some other group of people and it's not attached to themselves. But I do get and understand why, they did what they did during the early 20th century,
I mean, but as somebody just mentioned in the chat, I could say the same thing about Freemasonry.
Yeah, you can. You could.
Although it's not attached to a group of people, it officially, it doesn't start with us.
Nah, it's shoot. When you most of the time when people think of Freemason, they think of them the Midville period. They start looking at like the 12, 13, 14th century. They looking at white Europeans. You know what I'm saying?
So I
You get
mean,
up, you said
but we've
17.
taken that over, right? We've taken that over.
Right,
We have
right.
our own black grand lodges within states.
Right.
We have our own grand sessions. We have our own everything separate from the so-called white or ancient free and accepted basis. We have our own everything. But people have a problem with that. So I mean,
you right now. You know, you right. I'm looking at it like that. Yep, we definitely taking it over. But man, we could be talking about this forever. I got to get out of here. I got to go meet my my dad and my brother while he's still here from Kokomo, Indiana. I gotta go meet them. Really don't want to. It's cold as heck outside too, man. But I got to get out of here, man. I appreciate everybody that tuned in, man. Please like the show. Share the show with people that you think that may be interested in this information, man. Continue to support Master Warrior Clan. Continue to support Kofi Piesie Research team. January the 21st, the Spearmaster Institution comprehension book will be available for purchase. So go purchase that book as well. I'm finna start messing with you too, Ladosha. You know I'm country. She messing with me because I can't even pronounce what's name right. But yeah.
No, we got to go back to this other word that you were saying. Abolitionist. What you call them?
Oh, don't.
Abolitionist. Ain't that what I said?
That ain't what you said.
He was preaching.
I'm from Mississippi, man.
I know where you from.
I'm just letting the people. But yeah, man. We out here, man. Man, we're gonna come back Thursday, man, and do a show. We're probably gonna talk about the thing that's going on in Atlanta this weekend. Thursday. I don't know what time. Yeah, I'm finna go now. They're telling me I got to go. I got to get out of here, man. I got to get in this car, man, and get out of here, man. But I said ETM Hotep in the beginning. ETM Hotep just means ETM Hotep says bring forth peace. So now I'm gonna say Shemem Hotep. Shemem Hotep just means to depart in peace. Again, appreciate people that's supporting the teams, man. We greatly appreciate y'all, man, and we'll see y'all next time. And I'll leave y'all with what's our theme song. I'm gonna try to know some people in here. I don't want to listen to that all that cussing and stuff. So I go with Overfemi. Man, he might have said some cussing in here too. But man, we out of here, man. Peace, y'all. Peace and Black Africa. Bye.
It's over. Yeah. Overfemi, man. You know it. It's so. Shout out to United Front. Yeah. Hey. Yeah. Hey. Cognitive dissonance, colonized indigenous minds, bodies, innocence, European participants, Jesus no deliverance, rebellion with militants, culturally different, rape, murder incidents, justice no equivalence, lyrical abolitionists, ancestral reverence, soul music the resonance, mind sharp like elephants, melanin glow, elegance, imperial pestilence, governmental negligence, miracle black excellence, manipulate the elements, formulate with eloquence, bars of social relevance, United Snakes decadence, African-centered preference, my people set the precedence, MCE the delegates, go and check the references, get it out the sediment, evaporate impediments, this that shit excrement, our story indefinite, saying cover by increments, body temple instrument, tuned into the infinite, over.